want to follow up on the question that Senator Rosen just raised and directed to Brenda, and that is talking about the challenges that you face and what the biggest challenge is as you try to do all of this planning. Excuse me. I know from talking with home health agencies in Maine that they feel stretched very thin, that there's a shortage of home health workers. And I would think that in addition to the technology, that may be an important element as well. What is your experience about the biggest challenges?
Okay. Really, the biggest challenge is initially finding.
I'm sorry, I don't think your mic is.
Oh, I pressed it. Yes. So what we're finding is finding affordable, accessible housing across the state is a real challenge. Additionally, as you said, the direct care worker shortage also makes it a challenge to be able to arrange home care services, which are so critical in terms of the planning. However, with the team that we've brought together, we are able to find housing. Usually 3 to 6 months is about the average time. We do have a housing coordinator through Alpha One, Maine Center for Independent Living, that works on the housing, so that really the team comes together to overcome these barriers. And it takes time, but we really can. As you can see, with the assistive technology is such a critical part of this, and really can supplement in terms of staffing. The remote monitoring can really help in terms of reducing the need for staffing. So it's really the team approach and being diligent in overcoming these barriers, and we found that we can. And it may take some time, but so.
Thank you. Dr. Coughlin, let me pick up on a point that was just made about remote sensors. Obviously, this technology has the potential not only to allow individuals to live fuller lives and stay in their own homes, but in some cases, it may raise some privacy issues. And I would be interested in hearing your comments, since you involve seniors, on whether or not they're concerned about having sensors that monitor whether they open the refrigerator and thus are eating, for example, or cameras that can see them. Is that an issue that comes up, or do people think the trade-off is worth it?
There's certainly an issue that comes up, because think about the fact that it's not just your sensors in the house knowing that you're walking your refrigerator, it's also your toilet talking about you as well. Input-output model is the best way to describe whether you're taking your medications, you're eating well, whatever that you like. However, older adults tend to have, believe it or not, greater levels of trust than younger people in the institutions that might be so-called watching them. So yes, Senator, we have to balance dignity with independence, but one of the challenges that we see that older adults seem to be willing to do, which is, I will give you some of my privacy if you give me some independence and safety. And just I'll give you an analogy that many of us can identify with. How many of us can say we have a credit card in our pocket? We now know your price for privacy. My American Express probably knows more about me than my wife of 30-odd years.
Well, anyone who goes online and does a search and then gets all those ads realizes.
Yeah, that's somewhere between cool and creepy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it tends towards creepy myself, but thank you. That's really very interesting. Ms. McCarty, did you want to add anything to that? Were those issues raised when you did your exhibits?
They were raised, and I got very similar reactions. Most people were the trade-offs slanted more towards wanting the technology, but I know that it is definitely something that will be an issue and something that needs to be discussed. One of the products that we featured in the exhibition that required remote monitoring was pill taking, and pill bottles with chips in them, so that maybe a caregiver from afar could really monitor if somebody took their pills or not, which is a real issue. You know, people not taking pills, but I mean it's a real reason why many people aren't getting better, because they're not taking their pills for various reasons. So there are trade-offs. but just like in the rest of society, we need to just keep talking about those.
I should probably clarify my creepy comment. When I was talking about that, I was talking about the fact that when you're doing a search for a particular item on the internet, you all of a sudden get all these unsolicited ads because your data is being sold or distributed. It seems to me that's very different from sensors that are helping you be independent, healthier, and live in your own home. I think there's a big distinction.
If I may briefly say,
Yes.
one of the other reasons we saw that the technology was accepted by older adults despite privacy concerns, if you can design systems that not only remind you to take your meds or to eat well on the more, shall we say, lower end of Maslow's pyramid, but also encourage connection with family and friends. So yes, did you take your meds? And oh, by the way, Mom, what was that recipe you used to use for cookies? So you can use the technology to engage people and to reduce social isolation, and for that, they're willing to trade off a little bit of privacy.
Very good point.